All right, we are back here in the studios of Cut the Slack talking about quarantine, the changes in America, some of the things we've seen recently, and now we're looking to the future. So our kids have been away from school for a while. They shut down the schools. They went to online schools in a lot of cases. My daughter's a senior this year and is not able to graduate. She is going to graduate, but then they weren't going to do a graduation, but now they are going to do a graduation, but she's the only one that can get out of the car. You're allowed one car, and so we obviously can't fit all of our friends and family that we would normally have at a graduation there. I think my son's graduation, we had 20 people from both sides of the family there.
Yeah.
This year we get one car, and hopefully you have a big car.
Yeah.
And you can fit a few people in there, but we're going to take a total of 5 people. So it's going to be my wife, myself, my 2 daughters, and then their biological father. And that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sucks because we're not going to be able to be in the crowd and have the crowd cheering for them as they walk across the stage. We're not going to be able to video it like we've done in the past. We're not going to be able to have all of our people that we wanted there that are special to us, her aunts that have been, important parts of her life for a long time.
Yeah.
Not going to be there. So that was something that's happening. I'm happy, I guess, for the graduation. I'm not happy for the circumstances. Now they're talking about opening up schools. Have you heard some of the things that the CDC is using as a guideline?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a bunch of just ridiculous measures that they're trying to, they're drawing, especially for elementary kids, right? Like, how are you gonna? They're drawing out circles on the floor, and they're saying you cannot leave this circle. Like, they're getting temperature checked. They're talking about doing testing for this virus every single week. They're running these kids through basically TSA at school.
Over and over
even
again.
More so. Yeah, it's even way heightened TSA at school as a little kid. And I just feel like the conditioning, the mental parameters that they're going to be placing on these young humans, it's going to mess them up. Like, and it's just crazy. I mean, I don't see how anyone would go along with that.
Well, there are a lot of things that I don't know how they would work. So here's an example. They say that desks have to be 6 feet apart. There's only so much space in a classroom, and if you're looking at for 6 feet front, back, and side to side, then you're only going to be able to fit a certain amount of desks in the room now because they were all a lot closer than that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how geographically and logistically and space-wise you can fit enough desks in the classroom with that. The next thing was that they wanted to take classrooms from 30 or 40 students down to 20. Now, in the past, we've said that's a great idea because the kids get more personal interaction with the teacher.
Right.
But when you think about geography and real estate, if you have a class or a school and every class in the school has 30 plus children in it, how do you now have enough classrooms to house everybody when they're only 20? So basically you would need double the amount of classrooms in that school.
Double the amount of teachers, double the amount of counselors, right?
And they're not there. The people aren't there, and the classrooms aren't physically there. They can't just double their classrooms.
Right.
They don't have $20 million extra dollars there. So you would need funding to actually build the school to twice the size, and then you would need funding to pay the additional counselors and the additional teachers.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, then. So that, I just don't see how that works mathematically. How do you put this regulation out there or this guideline out there and expect anybody to be able to do it when there's no funding for it? And
well, we know funding is just it's a signature away, right? They've printed what, $8 trillion in the last the
Well,
last quarter,
that's a whole nother
right?
thing because I'm a big fan of privatizing schools and schools generating their own capital, like
Of
a lot of the
course,
private schools out there. I'm also a fan of schools being in competition with each other for our business, like every other
of course. That's
business.
how you get better.
So that's why I
Yeah,
don't really. But that's I don't. That's a whole nother subject.
yeah,
But then when as we continue on with these guidelines that they've set, they also said no recess. And okay, as a high schooler, we can just sit here and not do recess because we're probably lazy high schoolers anyway. That's what I was.
right, right.
But as a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, these kids need to play, man, and they
Yeah,
need to get out. I don't see how you can. They say no recess outside the classroom. You actually have to stay inside the classroom.
yeah,
So no recess, no cafeteria. Not even that they can't stay in the cafeteria, but no hot lunches. Which that boggles my mind because if a person can make food in a restaurant and serve it to me, why can't they practice the same safety guidelines at the cafeteria
right.
and make sure that the food's safe for the kids? So no hot lunches, no free lunches. I would guess that would assume. So all the kids that were below the poverty line and are usually getting a free breakfast and maybe lunch too, that's gone. So where do these kids get their food that can't afford it? Uh, so we got no recess, no cafeteria, no food that they're going to provide for you at all.
And the directional movement control, right? Like they're like we're seeing
One-way hallways.
one way hallways. Yeah, it's just it's this whole control grid
I don't
that's
get it.
coming in, and we've already been controlled so much as it was before this whole thing, and now it's like there's this whole new grid of rules coming in, and that's what I'm saying. It goes back to it, right? So as a parent, if you have kids that are going, that were enrolled in these schools, and now you just get this whole list of measures, safety measures that they're going to be implementing on your child. No movement, no social interaction, whatever it is, you have the choice. Do I want to subject my child to that kind of treatment? And if not, then do not let them go. Do not let them get into this matrix of control, because it will affect their mentality. It will stifle their creativity. It's just gonna etch their soul down. Kids need a certain amount of freedom, man.
Yeah, what you described to me actually sounds kind of like a prison.
That's it.
You one-way hallways. You can only go you can't walk that way on this hallway.
Right.
Why? My class is right there. No, you got to go all the way around.
Yeah.
You got to walk the whole building and come around to the other side to get to the door that's 5 inches from me now. I don't know. And again, if there were a lot of people, if there were millions of people losing their lives, then I get it, But that's not what I'm seeing. And now to impose these kind of illogical things, it's not logical for me to be told that we're not going to have cafeterias. It's not logical for me to be told that the kids can't play on the playground.
Yeah.
It's not logical to me. And those are kind of like maybe opinionish kind of things. I feel kids, but when you talk about, I feel kids should have recess. Maybe somebody doesn't think that. But when you talk about taking a classroom of 40 kids and then making a classroom of 20 kids, and there not being a double the number, and there's not double the number of classrooms there to be utilized, then that doesn't make sense. How are you going to do that?
Right.
So I really have a hard time with people just dishing out regulations or guidelines that aren't based in reality.
Yeah. And they've, again, going back to our last discussions, they've taken a temporary situation and implemented permanent rules. And that's not, again, this is standard politics, right?
Yeah.
But again, how much is enough? When will people say no? This is not going to happen. These schools, they can't just fall in line, and if they do, then now the parent has a decision to make. And so,
And see, that's the thing. So now with the privatized school can choose to go one way or another. If
yeah,
they're running their own show and bringing in their own funding, like so many, like, that I've seen out there, there's Sarah Catholic School, there's Notre Dame, there's tons of, what's the other one that, Modern Day,
right, right.
big school, great sports program. They're generating all their own capital. So in that case, they can choose whether or not to expand or maybe just limit their class sizes. They can expand their real estate. They have, I guess, the choice, and then the choice to raise money to do that. But when you talk about a government-run school, they kind of are stuck because
Yeah.
they're 100% dependent on government funding, and they're also looking to the government to dish out the regulations.
Yeah, everything.
So you're telling us we've got to have double the amount of classrooms, double the amount of teachers, but we can't. But are you going to give us the money to double our real estate?
Yeah, probably. Which will then send the national debt into blah 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 blah. Blah. So yeah, it's just crazy.
Right. Yeah.
But
It
yeah.
has to make sense.
Again, there's you go to Arizona, go to Montana. You have to be somewhere where your beliefs
Line
can
up.
be in alignment.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a good point.
you
So
don't-
would that be your suggestion? Is if you don't like it here, move.
first line of defense always is fight back.
Yeah.
That's just instinctual, and that's, I think another thing with all this, if I take your shirt, off you right now, and I say, this is my shirt, I like that shirt, it's mine. Okay. You're going to fight back this and that. If I give you your shirt back, do you say thank you?
No.
No.
No, we're not friends anymore.
Yeah. So, but again, so we've gone into this environment where freedoms were taken, and now people are begging for them back, and they're like, please, we just want to go out and see a concert, and the good guy, the good politician is saying, let the churches open, and then it's good cop, bad cop type stuff, right?
All right.
But it's like, so we look at maybe this politician and say he's good because he says churches are essential and he thinks they should open.
Yeah.
This guy's bad because he wants to keep them closed out of safety. That conversation shouldn't even be happening, period. Churches should have never been affected. We do not say thank you for opening up churches again. We just open them, and that's it. But again, initial response is fight back. If you're a parent of a child who's going to one of these schools that's trying to implement these measures, they all need to first come together and say, no, this is ridiculous. You're turning my child into a prisoner. They're getting conditioned to be little obedient slaves, and I don't want to subject my kid to that. And then wait for a response. Okay, you rally, you make a proposal, you get a response. If that response isn't to your liking, then you have to leave.
That's the next step.
It's either homeschool or find a school that is in alignment with your beliefs and keep it moving.
Right.
Right. And so
That's true.
That's it.
So in summary, basically what we're saying is, people, you've got to protect your rights first. You've got to stand up for yourself first. And if it doesn't work and you don't like the results you're getting, then you do have the freedom to go to another state and to set up shop somewhere else that is operating the way you want. And then that leaves some room for the person that does think the opposite of you to come in and take your place because they feel more safe in the lockdown, in the matrix. And all of that, I guess, is okay to an extent, as long as we're all able to keep our overall freedoms here in America,
Yeah.
and feel safe and comfortable.
Yes.